Casey Thompson shared some very interesting things about his health. He's on week 10 right now of a 16-week recovery. What is
shoulder surgery? Right?
Shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So I said, does that mean you're going to play in the spring, like the spring game? And he goes, let's not say that yet. But he gave at least a sliver of hope that he could be out there doing some things during the spring.
Yeah, because you wrote that he could be back throwing at some level on March 27th.
The week of March 27th.
Yeah, so March 27th, that would be about a week into spring.
Week two of spring.
Yeah. So how much, I mean, would he go under center? Would he partake in team drills? I don't know if he'd do that stuff or not, but it's interesting. It'd be good if he, I don't know. I mean, he might look at Jeff Sims every day and think, I need to get back. But on the other hand, you don't want to rush it too much, right?
And him and Jeff Sims, they've developed a really good relationship, is what Casey said. I mean, they're very close. And look, I said this on your show earlier this week, Sip. This is the 5th head coach Casey Thompson's played for when you count Mickey.
Right.
He played for Tom Herman. He played for Steve Sarkisian, Scott Frost, and then Mickey Joseph, and now Matt Rule.
Man. So, I mean, I think that's certainly encouraging, because I think you need that you need that on-field competition. If you're legitimately going to have a quarterback battle, those guys need to be on the field together. And I don't care what the capacity is, but just having Casey able to be on the field and not sitting there in street clothes while Jeff Sims is out there running around, doing his thing. I think that's important to just, for one, give Nebraska a better evaluation of their two quarterbacks, but two, push each other. I think that competition, the longer that can go, the better for everyone involved, particularly those two guys. So that's probably some of the best news we've heard as far as that conversation is concerned, that, there was some talk that Casey might miss all the spring. Now you're talking about him maybe even playing in the spring game. Like, that's a significant development.
Let's face it too. This is not necessarily just an either or discussion. I mean, you need 2. Last year they needed 3. Yeah. There's been a lot of years where you need 2. Some years where you
run the quarterback, especially.
Yeah, where you need 3. It's not. I don't necessarily even look at it as some guy's going to win the job and the other guy's going to stand and watch all season. It doesn't work that way all that often anymore.
When's the last time a quarterback has made it wire to wire? It never happened under Scott Frost. I mean,
did Tanner
Lee?
Yeah. Did he make it wire to wire
in 17?
Yeah. Did he make it wire to wire?
I think he did.
Yeah, I think he did.
Because POB would have been his backup.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he made it wire to
wire.
Well, Tommy didn't make it wire to wire.
Now in 2017, though, Tanner missed a head. Caleb missed Tanner Lee missed a half at Minnesota.
Okay.
Remember?
And there wasn't talk about
they pulled him out at halftime.
O'Brien starting the Penn State game. Didn't he have a whole bunch of family there, and then he didn't play at all?
Yeah, that's right.
But the Bill Moose Minnesota game where you could hear him yell in the press box.
Oh, no. Just stop. That
wasn't Moose. It wasn't Moose.
Not Moose. It wasn't. That was one of the biggest myths ever. That was not Bill Moose.
Don't ruin it.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Moose has told me unequivocally that was not him yelling.
Well, of course, you don't want to be the oh no guy.
No, it wasn't Moose. I knew when it happened, it wasn't Moose.
But yeah, so Tanner Lee missed.
Moose isn't that. He
missed at least a half at Minnesota. Like he was out of that game for Patrick O'Brien.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't happen.
So technically not wire to wire.
Tommy Armstrong, his last year missed games. I mean, Tommy Armstrong missed games like almost every year.
Taylor Martinez missed a lot of games, and they were down to number 3 Kellogg at in that 2013 season. Yeah, so I don't look at it as either or.
That'd be a good research project. Who's the last Nebraska quarterback that's made it wire to wire? Well, what full year did Zach Lee start? Because in 09.
Yeah, 09.
09.
Split.
There was a terrible offense.
Cody Green played in 09, guys. Cody Green played. Cody Green ends that. I mean, they split.
Yeah, I did. You're right. Cody Green played. You're right, Sean.
And then in 10, we thought it was going to be Zach Lee, and it was Taylor.
So
right.
Zach Taylor?
No.
06?
Zach Taylor in 06, 07. Or excuse me, not 07. 06.
Yeah, Zach Taylor definitely played a full year.
Yeah, he did. Zach made it a full
Tommy
year.
Armstrong, I think, maybe made one full season.
At any rate, they have 2 guys, and maybe more. And I don't know who. Maybe they have somebody that's going to emerge and push those top 2. I mean, Torres. They talk very high. Rule twice has mentioned Heinrich Harburg. You never know. One of those other guys could move up the chain a little bit and push Casey and Sims, but I don't anticipate that actually.
So I was told just in the early workouts that they're kind of blown away how much potential Harburg has, and the fact that he was kind of shelved by Whipple. And like they did miles per hour and some of the things they test, and he has one of the fastest miles per hour on the team running.
And running, okay.
You know who number 1 was?
Yeah,
Tommy Hill.
Tommy Hill.
And then Gabe Irvin was number 2.
Fastest.
And this is their speed. Like they're all about the variable.
I mean, think about it. That's not, you didn't even mention Ramir. I mean, Ramir can go too.
But I'm talking about when they measured speed, miles per hour. Gabe Irvin was the fastest of the running backs.
Tommy Hill was the fastest overall.
For running backs. Okay. Tommy Hill, we think he's still a receiver.
Yeah, what are they going to do with him? They got to get him on the field. They got to find some way to.
That will get him on the field. That speed will get him on the field.
You'd hope.
Yeah, because that thing went south, and I think from what him and Fisher, things kind of turned.
I don't know what happened.
Something happened that just kind of turned things around, where he just all of a sudden went from having his name etched in the stadium, as Fisher said on the record, to being a receiver like 2 weeks later.
Well, he had a couple real bad games. I remember the
Oklahoma.
Pro Football Focus. Yeah, that was the one. He was just getting torched. Like they were intentionally going after him.
Georgia Southern wasn't his best night either.
So I mean, like that, he kind of participated.
Georgia Southern, I thought was really stark. They were going right after Tommy.
And then they went to Hartstug.
Yeah. They went to him in place of Tommy Hill. Also at that night, Billy Kemp, you talked to Billy Kemp, and it looks like he's going to be the return man.
Yeah. I mean, Ed Foley said he's got to win it, but hinted that like this guy can do it. I mean, he's fielded
160
live balls.
Yeah. He's fielded 140 punts at UVA, Virginia. He, 64 returns and 76 fair catches. That's what you had in your rundown, Sean.
So those are, I mean, that's a pretty good. I mean, there's nobody at Nebraska that's come even close to returning that many punts.
No.
Like who? I mean, you could add up like the last 7 or 8 years, and I don't know if you'd have 64 return punts. Take away the DeMornay Pearsonell era. After DeMornay Pearsonell, I don't know if there's been anyone that's even come close to those numbers.
They got to get back to doing that.
And Ed Foley said he wants to average 10 per return and have 4. So have about 30 to 40 punt return yards a game, which would eliminate 3 or 4 needed first downs for the offense.
That'd be great. That'd be great just to see returns again. 10-yard return. Man, at Nebraska now, if there's a 10-yard return, it's sort of jaw-dropping. Like, did we just see a 10-yard return?
Yeah. And when you just look at it, like you're starting a drive with a first down. Yeah. I mean, when you look at it that way, like a 10-yard return is a big deal. It's a big deal.
I mean, look what it did for like the Chiefs in their playoff run here.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, in Super Bowl. I mean, that return late was gigantic.
And then they had one against Cincinnati too.
Right. Yeah, they did. Yeah.
I mean, Nebraska has lost that part of. I mean, look what DeMornay's returns did in Bo's second to final year, or that was his final year, right? When they beat Iowa and he had the returns at Iowa.
Yeah, it was 2014. He had the 2 long returns against Iowa. But yeah, DeMornay, it became a situation where you didn't want to go get popcorn when the opposing team punted because you wanted to see what happened with DeMornay. Boy, it'd be nice to get back to that. It was exciting.
Now the return game has changed so much with the way the directional kicking, the rugby style, like that's more prevalent than ever. And so, I mean, just opportunities are a lot fewer.
That's true.
Than they used to be. And people just don't boom them down the field.
Right.
Like the specialists are so good, especially in the Big Ten. Like Big Ten punters are elite, like the best in the country. Yeah. And so,
it's harder to return.
We'll see how many chances they get, but when you get those chances, you have to maximize them.
I wish it was like the pros. You can't do those spread punts, right? It's like a pretty.
No, you can only use one formation, I think, in the NFL.
And I know they'll never
maybe 2
do this in college football, but it would really make it better. Like the spread punt has like destroyed the punt return.
Yeah.
Because you make sure the guy doesn't catch it.
Yeah. I mean, it just screws up everything with the blocking. Like you can't even set up a return because you have to account for the punter as a runner.
Also at St. Michael's, you learned that Chief Borders has been impressive.
Yeah, I think he's just been a voice behind the scenes from everything I've heard and been really good. MJ Sherman too. I mentioned another newcomer. We had him there, and I asked him specifically, what will his role be? And I mean, I think they want to move him around, and, you know, he can play his hand on the edge. He can play in space. But after seeing Tony White speak at the Omaha Metro Coaches Clinic, you know, it's going to be key that he wants to find matchups in this defense and put his best player on your weak players and create plays. And I can see MJ Sherman very much fitting that role of a guy that Tony White's going to move around.
What you got to see with Sherman is if he's regained all his explosion. That's the question. That was the question at Georgia. Had a knee injury in high school. Is he the explosive player that can make those sort of difference-making plays?